these business ventures could completely fail and it would not shift her lifestyle one iota. Meghan and Harry will still be living in that massive house in Montecito. They will still be sending their kids to mindfulness schools. They would still be driving cars and have an armada of private security. And I think that's the impression that most of the public are getting. She doesn't really care if this fails because she doesn't actually think she's going to become the next Goop. There's not really much at stake. You know, they've made very wise investments from what I hear. So this is just a hobby. What I do find grating is this kind of trying to repackage herself as some sort of businesswoman extraordinaire, that she's really savvy and, well, not really, because if your back is not against the wall at any point, you're not really under any pressure to make sensible decisions. We don't actually know how much of the jam she sold out.
So it's a hobby, but it's all tied up with Netflix, isn't it? So they're backing it, so they're going to want some of their money back. They invested 100 million in them to make their program.
That's not her problem.
Well, they might see it as her, want to make it her problem because they want to get some of their money back, which you know, they haven't really cut the mustard coming up with more programs that have been particularly successful. So all of this is part of a tie-up, a commercial tie-up with their, you know, with her programs, you know, making the produce. So I think, you know, Netflix will be saying, are we going to get, you know, what are we going to get back for this investment? So it is quite important that somewhere along the line some of it succeeds.
Well, I assume there will be accounts for As Ever at some stage in America. They will publish accounts, and we will be able to see.
What does she have to lose? But this is the thing. I think Netflix are going to have to swallow the fact that they've invested in the world's most boring and unprofitable couple. Right. And as Spotify realised quite early on and got out early on as well, I really don't think the public understands just how little is at stake for Meghan. Like, who cares if As Ever fails? It wasn't exactly a passion project. You know, the blog that she had, The Tig, back in the 2010s, she was a kind of partially single woman doing it from her flat in, was it Vancouver? While she was filming suits. Toronto. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, there's not really much at stake here. And I think we have to take it with a grain of salt because ultimately, this is just, you know, her playing around as a boss woman, which is, you can actually see that from her podcast as well. The kinds of questions she asks these allegedly successful women, it's hilarious. GCSE students could ask more commercially astute questions.
Don't say pinch of salt to her, because then she'll start making her own salt.
Well, yeah, exactly. I made the sea myself, and I dug it up with
I went down to the coast and got a bottle of water. Yeah.
Exactly.
But it will be interesting to see the accounts, because we're talking about the, you know, the Buckingham Palace accounts and the Duchy of Cornwall accounts. I'm looking forward to next year. Maybe we get to see how many bottles she actually has sold.
She's never going to reveal that. She's never going to. I think she only sold like 10 jars of jam, because it's clever marketing. You say, oh, we're all sold out of 10.
Sold out, but we're not going to make any more.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, the jam's disappeared.
No business person does that. I don't think we realise how commercially strange that is. Like, you've had a sold-out product that you're not going to stock for the next year, and then you're saying, I'm not sure I'm going to stock it again.
She's spreading herself too thin.
Spreading herself too thin. Yeah. We mentioned talking about William earlier, talking about William's tax. I think it's been quite a big week for Prince William, and I'm saying this because I've seen him. He's been acting quite decisively in the last couple of days. There was a story last week, it appeared in the Sunday Times, where there was a donor called Minerva Mondejar Steiner who had allegedly offered 20,000, or people could pay £20,000 to meet William because she had sponsored a polo event, which is taking place next Friday. Look, it's a £1 million charity polo event where lots of donors come in and you get to, you know, look at William, get to watch him play polo, you might get to meet him. The minute William heard about this, they axed that donor. And the royal family have had a history of problems, you remember, with King Charles in the past.
There's a long history of it with Charles, and William doesn't want to get tainted like that. So, as you say, he's acted immediately to cut himself off from someone. Cash for access is the worst thing that they can be accused of. So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. He had to act decisively, and that person will be out. But you know, people around him have got to be more careful in future as to who they associate with and what they get involved with.
Well, they said there's kind of due diligence.
It's not a good look.
No, they said there's due diligence, but I think the way that he acted so quickly and didn't let it fester, the decision was literally made on Friday afternoon, my understanding. The Sunday Times contacted the palace and they said, OK, we're going to get rid of her. The fact that he acted so decisively, I think, bodes well for his future as Prince of Wales.
I think he's very in tune with what the public thinks. So whenever we hear of scandals of, like, politicians, for example, that get cash for access from these massive companies trying to lobby them for something, the public opinion really goes against their favour. And I think Prince William acting so decisively and so quickly just shows that he's really in tune with what the public thinks. This lady who's a Swiss-Filipina art gallery curator, it's not a very good look if someone like that, who clearly mingles with high in high places, because if you're an art gallery curator, you're clearly not working with someone who works at McDonald's, for example. For him to not even worry about whatever contacts or bridges he may be burning just shows that he's in tune with what the public thinks, and that's his first priority, as opposed to keeping friends in high places happy. And that's the kind of monarch that I think people are more likely to get behind than, going down the sleazy politician route of getting paid £3,000 for lunches, which is, sell yourself a bit higher, really.
It is dangerous, I think, because people with money will want to hang around members of the royal family.
Yeah.
This lady was also at Prince Harry's Wellchild event last September, and on her website she talks about how she's proud to support.
She was actually advertising it, wasn't she? Saying, you can come to this and you'll be guaranteed to meet the Prince of Wales. So it was getting quite dangerous. So definitely the right thing to cut her adrift.
Yeah,
absolutely. And he's also talks about his accounts. He's also scrapped the rents or reduced to 50% rent for charities and.
Well, that follows pressure. I think there was a Channel 4 documentary, wasn't there, Dispatches, which highlighted how much hospitals and schools and other people have to pay the Duchy of Cornwall rent. So I think he's halved some of the rent for charities, and he's cut back on some of the payments they've got to make. So. Whether he would have done that if it hadn't been the Dispatches programme, who knows? But certainly it was something that was highlighted, and he's acted on it, and I think that's that's wise. But as I say, that's why I don't understand why he won't give the income tax, because he's doing the right thing there, but on the other hand, looking a little bit sort of dodgy by not revealing it. What's he got to hide? So I don't understand why he wouldn't go that extra step and reveal it. But Esther disagrees.
Yeah, I don't know. I can absolutely see it being splashed in papers. Prince William makes this much, and then you just attach his name to a number, and everything he does is like, well, why do you care? This is how much you earn, and it's extremely distracting. But I get the sense that he's someone that. He's very attuned with the public, and I think he learns a lot of lessons from politics, because as we know, our Prime Minister is not doing very well in opinion polls at the moment.
I didn't realise that.
I know, shock.
I thought he was the most popular Prime Minister we've ever had.
Well, unfortunately, the polls would disagree. But I think one thing he doesn't want to be seen as is weak and indecisive. If you're going to make a decision, even if it backfires, at least you know that you're someone that can stomach making a decision that may or may not be unpopular. And again, that's leadership that even his father has been criticised for not necessarily being very strong on. Obviously, being in the royal family and being at his level in the royal family, it comes with all sorts of challenges, and you're walking a tightrope. But I think there comes a point where you have to make a decision and take action, and I think he's certainly showing his willingness to do that.
Yeah, I'm more and more impressed by him doing that. I remember we went to Boston a couple of years ago for his Earthshot Prize, and it was when the Ngozi Fulani scandal had broken, where she had been in Buckingham Palace, and Lady Susan Hussey had said some ill-informed comments to her. But William was in the air when the story broke. When they landed, we got a statement, literally, William, condemning what had happened in the palace, just like that, acted really quickly.
I didn't think that was wise, because I thought he was a bit unfair to Lady Hussey, yes. Because
I tend to agree with you there. I think he overreacted
I think he overreacted,
I think he was a bit too quick there.
Exactly.
He should have thought about that. I mean, she's godmother, for goodness sake.
I think he threw her under the bus. I mean, she's...
Someone had been very loyal, I think.
Exactly, but that, again, he's not always going to get it right, but he's willing to act.
That, actually.
Yes, I do think he did.